So is this the pump that we should believe, or is this going to lead to a trap which leads to another awkward situation where you're sitting around the Thanksgiving table tomorrow with spinach hands, right? Spinach hands and lower prices across the board. That's what we'll talk about in today's video. Smash the like button. Let's get straight into the show content. Looking over here at the banter bubbles, of course, on the daily, some of the coins are green over here. Let's quickly see what's happening on the hourly. Most of the coins still holding up on the hourly. How's the weeklies doing? Well, only a few are turning green. The majority are still struggling over here. And what about the stock market? The stock market looking much healthier. Remember that when you look at the crypto cycle theory, well, in terms of the 4-year cycle, as well as the 18.6-year real estate cycle, remember this, that the stocks can run much longer than what crypto does. Crypto does tend to top before the stock market, and its cycle tends to come to an end a couple of months before, right? In some cases, even as much as, almost a year before. So that's one thing that you need to consider. The main thing that we're looking at yesterday, we're looking at both the stock market, the S&P 500. Could it clear the resistance zone and create a high? It did that, right? It did do that. That is one of the things we're looking at. Clearance above 6,800. And then the other important thing that we said we have to look at is the break of the symmetrical triangle, which you're coming directly into that. And we said this should lead to either a clearance of the Monday high or Monday low for Bitcoin, which opens up some trade opportunities. And that's exactly what we got, right? We also took an ETH long trade over here on the Pinex spot. So that's paying dividends over there. Not a huge trade. I'm only up like $500 over there, but still a trade nevertheless. So the trade that we're looking at, or at least the signal we're looking at, was the USDT dominance, which I must say, I think I lean more towards this will break towards the upside. But at the end of the day, you got the fake out, breaking towards the upside and not continuing and then smashing back down over there, which we said, whichever side gets cleared first, likely you're going to go for the opposite direction. In this instance, you cleared the top side first on USDT dominance, which meant prices were coming down, created a dip, only for this to change direction, turn towards the downside, which led to the bigger move towards the upside. But is it a trap? That's the big question, right? Well, you have a couple of fair value gaps over here, probably on the 4 hourly will be better seen. If you have a look at the USDT dominance, basically what you want to see now is that react as resistance. So we had the little dash line over there to say that we should see something happen into that zone. I do want to remind you, if we just zoom out a little bit, this was a major resistance zone taken all the way back from here. It lines up with some of those previous major tops. So what you need to be looking out for now is USDT dominance support coming into the yellow line at 5.8. That should lead to a short-term bounce. If that short-term bounce rejects from the pink box, that's going to be your inverse fair value gap, and that leads to further downside. Well, that'll be really good for crypto. That might lead to Bitcoin continuing a bit higher, possibly towards that, anywhere between $100,000 and $110,000, give or take. And we'll get into some of those targets that we have over here, right? Anywhere between, well, maybe not as high as 110,000, but I've got about $105,000 would be quite an extreme move. In order to see that, basically, you must see a rejection over here. So this is the level that I'm going to mark off. I'm going to price label it. It's at that 6.13%. But understand this, that if price rallies and breaks back above that, well, then this was the true trap, right? If you do something like that, that was the true trap. That's going to lead to low prices. So remember, it's all about probabilities. There's no crystal balls. We're just reacting to various different key levels on the price chart. This is your next key level. We spoke about a significant time point coming into play where we should see some sort of a reaction. And we're looking for both long and short trades when relevant, right? That's why I took this long trade over here. But if you're in Whale Room, you'll know that we also look to take a short trade on something that may be weaker. So we indirectly hedged, right, when it comes to these various different positions. So a lot of our traders, as well in Whale Room, this is Christo Columbus, one of the coaches over there, nailing very, very, very nicely over there the Bitcoin long trade from $86,379. So remember, if you do want to participate, scan the code over there. Let's actually quickly see how many places do we still have available in Whale Room, because I asked them to create a counter for us to see. So let's just see if that counter pops up over here. I think when I looked this morning, it was like 138 spots still available. now it's disappeared. Maybe it'll come back later on today. But if you do want to join 48% off for Black Friday, you need to get in before we run out of spots. I said that we'll probably be out of spots by Black Friday, which is coming up tomorrow. This morning, the count was reading something like 143 spaces that are still left. So if you do want to get in there, the link is in the description below, or you can just scan that QR code and it'll take you directly to the page. So moving on, I'm not going to focus too much on the stock market. The main thing for the stock market over here was this move towards the upside and breaking that structure. Now you want to see this flip into support at the yellow box. And this is going to be the same thing for the Dow Jones breaking above its yellow box. Now you want to throw back, hold that level as support. QQQ, same thing, needs to reclaim. It is breaking the previous lower high, which is a good sign. So this one's lagging slightly, but it should catch up sometime soon, and you should see high prices over there. Now, moving on to crypto and what's going on in crypto. Well, we do have as well in Whale Room, if you look on the Discord under the liquidation charts over there, the institutional charts, we have positive delta, right? Positive delta on Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and SUI. This is quite aggressive positive delta. So many may tell you that there's a short squeeze going on, but this will differ, right? It's not the only thing that will differ. You're actually currently seeing a positive skew on the long to short ratio with plus 1.16%. So that's something noteworthy, right? Something to consider over there is the skew. The liquidations, yes, majority came from the short side, but this is still very, very low numbers. We still, despite the move, have only seen $317 million liquidated. Remember, large numbers are anything over $1 billion, and we still have a lack of volume. Now, this is the part where you can identify a potential trap that could be set. The potential trap that could be set is A, the positive deltas across the board. B, we'll go back over here to this. If you do bounce off of this zone and reclaim the pink box, very, very, very likely that there's a bull trap scenario in play. And then the next thing is C, the volume, right? The volume chart over here, which I want to highlight as well in conjunction with some of these charts which have drop off in volume. So just keep those things in mind over there. So it's A, B, and C. We got the lack of liquidity in the market. We have the positive deltas over here showing you that it's actually long dominant at the moment. People are chasing price towards the upside. And then the third thing is, what does USDT dominance do at this key support level at 5.87%. So those are the things that I'd be cautious of and watch out for. Let's quickly check the flows as well. What do the flows look like? Slightly positive on both BTC and ETH for yesterday. Nothing too significant over there, right? Let's see. Anything else? I think we've covered the majority over here. So let's move on. We got the liquidation heat maps, liquidity wiped, both above and below. Not much going on over there. We got the daily, that's on the weekly time frame. Now look at the daily, right? This is starting to build up. It's not too significant yet, but it's getting there. It's almost 18 million. Anything over 20 million, we consider a draw into the liquidity, and we'll make a price note of that. That is at 86, right? $86,000. Let's go on to maybe one of our daily charts over here and just mark out where is $86,000. $86,000. We'll put on this one over here. $86,000 coming in on that white line. Let's make it 4-point thickness over there. So that may come into play off of the next rejection. I'll show you why. Then if it comes down, creates a high low, that may position the trends back towards the upside in the very short term. Do not confuse the high time frame trends. Those are down, right? High time frame trends are down, which means any bounces that occur are major resistance until proven otherwise, and you should expect that they should reject. So we spoke about the possibility of hunting or finding a major low. If you go back to any of the other videos from Friday, Saturday, Monday, I think Saturday specifically is where we spoke about the possibility of a little bit of an upside move. Now what I would say is you're going to be looking for resistance, rejection, come back down, white line over here, potential high low that comes into play, and then you can reevaluate, right? So that's what you're looking at for the next couple of weeks. The funding rate back down to negative on the weekly. We haven't got anything significant. We spoke about yesterday what we'd like to see in the form of sweeping these major lows like we had previously seen. All of these major lows got taken, but you have to pay attention to this. Once the low is set, it takes a couple of weeks, right? That is 4 weeks later on that one. On this one over here, that is also 4 weeks later. This one over here happened the very next week. This one over here took 5 weeks. So it could be 4 to 5 weeks. This one we've only just printed, right? So if you fast forward 4 or 5 weeks later, Well, that's mid-December, maybe even January only that you see, which means in the shorter term, rally into resistance. In the medium term, start to reject and come down. And that's where you reevaluate. Hey, are you putting in a higher low, or are you going to come to sweep this low level? And we lined it up over here specifically with this chart, which we said that naturally this has been an extremely heated move from the bears, extreme control within the move. But eventually there should be some sort of a corrective phase or reset with the Bollinger Band with percentile coming down. That's why I threw the Bollinger Bands on for you guys today so that you can see exactly how this works. And that's recontracting the Bollinger Bands. The corrective phase in a downtrend means a lower high. A short-term bounce that's probably going to be faded out in the form of a dead cat bounce. And there you're seeing the USDT dominance come down. We need the weekly close over here. Vitally important to see what the weekly candle looks like. Remember, this thing can easily start to rally back up, or even if it consolidates over here, it will start to form a bull flag over the coming weeks and then move towards the upside. So we need more info over there. At the end of the day, even if we do rally aggressively over here, we still have the likelihood of a head and shoulders pattern, which is unfortunately bearish. Look, guys, I know this is not great for views. Probably won't get many views talking about this, but that's the reality, right? I think that's going to be the most likely outcome, is a complacency bounce with this move towards the upside. And you need to look at, well, where's this move going to fail? So we've got a couple of levels from low to high. We're marking out all those various different fib levels. What I find interesting is you got your middle Bollinger Band coming into play at that $94,000. I think in an extreme scenario, you rally to about $105,000. And this is the level that will get a lot of the bulls that are skeptical bulls that are cautiously optimistic bulls, even flipping over onto the full bullish side. You'll even have bears that are questioning, are we back? Are we truly back? So therefore, there is a good chance that you move all the way up to that 105, but just take it level to level. And level to level, your 50% level, which lines up with the middle Bollinger Band, is at $94,000. Just above that, you have $98,000 at the golden pocket. And then after that, you have not only your previous lower high, which I'm going to mark off over here, previous lower high, order block that led to the breakdown, but also your super fib retracement, which goes from the 0.786 to the 886 level. And that would be, therefore, the third and most extreme zone that I think price would go into. And I think it will take time to get there. Very unlikely that you just rally up into that. So what you need to be watching out for is A, the resistance zones. B, you need to assess the momentum going into that. Because if this comes down and resets around the 50 level while this is moving up, while volume is dropping off, which you can see over here, we don't have massive volume. What's interesting about the volume is it's kept us relatively safe. Look at those candles. Look at that volume. Look at this candle and look at the volume dropping off, right? Dropping off. So if the volume can pick up, though, that will be a really good sign. If you can see the volume running through and rising, then you can say that, you know what, maybe this thing's really on. Maybe this rally is going to be super serious, super real, and we're going to see some higher prices. So all the same fib levels that I have here. Remember the saying, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And that trend is definitely down. Remain friends with it. Remain friends with it. Lower lows and lower highs. That is the name of the game. Unfortunately, even though we dropped 36.24%, this is all going to be a massive resistance area. And I actually just want to line this up and see, how does that super fib retracement, that 0.786 and 886, how does that line up with the 50 EMA? On the daily? Well, it's exactly in that zone and it's dropping, right? So it's dropping like a stone. Just assume this kind of a trajectory. Assume that price chops about. You can see over there. That's why I think it's going to be very tough for Bitcoin to reclaim and get anywhere above 100K. I could see the 100K level taken temporarily on a week basis, just purely because it's such a big psychological number, right? A round number, six-figure Bitcoin. So I could see you doing something like that, but then rejecting and closing the candle back below. So that's only going to come into play in the future. Again, assuming this trajectory, this is only December's problem, right? We are still in November. Another point, right? Another point, very, very, very important. I have to mention this. I think I'm going to quickly go just to the whale room section over here just to show you what I said. But what I highlighted today, I said that there's a couple of days left. The chances are very, very, very low, but on the off chance that bulls can actually rally price above the exact number, $97,292, that's going to avoid a monthly bearish MACD cross. Now, I explained my opinion to the group, and this is why I just want to bring it up so I don't muddle up the words to make sense of this, is in my opinion, it's something valuable that you need to know, because most won't even consider this aspect when it comes to the market and things, right? I said, but to me, it's valuable. And the reason why it's valuable is because if we close below that level and next month price happens to put in an extreme rally to about 105K, for instance, that tells me that I know that there'll be a very high chance that it's going to fail. It's going to be a complacency bounce, and it's going to lead to a low macro high, which becomes a great exit opportunity for anyone stuck in positions. And I said, whilst the masses are going to be calling then for we're totally back and it's all on, the reason that I wouldn't believe this and I would think otherwise is the bearish MACD on the monthly and the confirmed cross has always confirmed the bull market was over. Always confirmed that, right? It always confirmed the bull market's over. So in that instance, I would subscribe to the right shoulder. This would be an extreme scenario if you even rallied, let's say in January, to $110,000. It doesn't matter, because at that point, you've got the MACD bearish cross, and that's a problem, right? It's very problematic. So I said, alternatively, because we always look at both sides, if we do get a close below that level, well, then that would reposition. I think I mean above that level, right? Alternatively, if we get a close, oh yeah, I did say that. Above that level, meaning above 90. So if the monthly candle closes above 97,292, that's going to allow the MACD to not have a bearish cross. And the way that would affect me, I said over here, is it would reposition my mindset that maybe there is a slim chance of rallying to new all-time highs. That would not make me go heavy long on spot though, however, because I still maintain for the whole of 2025 that it's been just about taking the best trade of the day of the week, meaning I would just adjust my position size for that next best trade or opportunity or long position. So I said, I think it's unlikely to happen, but we'll see for sure in a few days' time. So let's say Bitcoin does close the monthly candle above 97,300, right? That avoids the MACD bearish cross. How does that change things? Well, the way that would change things is, like, for example, we have this liquidity over here. This would change my mind in this regard. I would then look to the price move towards the upside. There we go. The rejection, wherever it comes into play, and the pullback, maybe you take out that liquidity. Remember, the liquidity is the white line taken from this chart, but this is floating. This moves and changes over time. But the way I would interpret it is, if we did get that and you avoided the monthly MACD bearish cross, I would say, okay, cool. Maybe this is a high low that I actually want to get involved in with a bit more size. So let's say we close below that level, therefore confirming the monthly bearish MACD cross, the moving averages cross towards the downside, at which point you say highly likely that the top is in, and the price comes down in the same way. Big move up, comes down into a potential high low. Will I buy it? Yes, I'll still buy it, right? I would still participate in that high low. The only thing that changes is how much money I put in. So if MACD doesn't cross, I'm willing to put more money, because there is some more hopium that maybe you have one more extension high and maybe even hit new all-time highs. But if the MACD crosses bearishly, then the probabilities shift that this is definitely going to be another dead cat bounce and a relief rally into a complacency bounce. So that's what I'm watching, and I lean towards the more bearish side purely because the trends are towards the downside and the volume still diminishes over here. So that's what we've looked at over there. There's a whole lot. The Monday range was very tight, right? We had extreme compression over here. Look at that. That was like only a 4.8% move after a lot more volatility over the last couple of days and weeks. So right now, prices move towards the upside. Look, if you can start to close above the yearly open, that would be great. But for now, that is going to be resistance. And what I'm mostly interested in seeing is, can the bulls maintain this type of momentum? Or is this just a fake out? Is this a fake move? Can they maintain this momentum over Thanksgiving? And, over the weekend, most people are going to be switched off. They're not really thinking about these things. And yeah, therefore you have to question, is this going to get faded? And, gun to my head, I would say probably. Gun to my head, I would say probably. That doesn't mean that I'm not in any of the other trades. I did take the long trade over here on Ethereum, but these are not sizable positions for me. This is very small money for me. So you can see when I'm betting with size versus not, where my conviction lies, and it's still kind of very neutral to bearish territory, right? Just to be clear. So let me check your guys' comments before we move on to the other stuff. By the way, if you do want to copy this Pinex bot, it is linked over there below. If you just look over there, there it is. Copy the ETH bot. You can copy the ETH bot. Remember the plan of action with the ETH bot is we said that even if this rejects as a lower high, we think there'll be one more leg down, and that's worthwhile buying. So we are scaling into that position. Despite getting instant profit over here, we're scaling into the position. Alrighty, we got ETH BTC as well fighting to come out of here. We need about 3 or 4 more weeks for confirmation if this can get the job done. We'll see. We'll see. Vote in the poll section. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts, right? 901 votes, but we got many more of you live. So about half of you have not voted. Is this the bounce that we trust, or are you going to have an awkward time with family on Thanksgiving tomorrow? Let me know in the comments over there. Vote on the poll. 16% of you believe, yes, this one takes us to new all-time highs. It is the big shakeout. For those of you that 16% of you that voted that, my answer to you is, if you want to know if it is the real move, just assess the volume on the daily chart. If the volume is rising, and if you go into the Whale Trade's website and you go over here, and this volume is also rising towards the upside. So you want to see those sustained high highs and high lows. It's kind of like this period over here. This came from the 9th of September all the way up to about around the middle of October. That's what you want to see. You want to see this kind of momentum towards the upside if you voted that and you want that pump to be real and continue. 46% of you are leaning towards the dead cat bounce, the relief rally into 100, 105. Again, to prove that thesis, well, you should see the volume struggling on the daily as well as on the Whale Trade side over there. That volume should struggle. And then for 34% of you believe Friday will full retrace. Well, for that to happen, for the full retrace, you're probably going to end up seeing another big spike up over here on the USDT dominance and basically just recovering this inverse fair value gap over there. So those are the things that I'm watching. And then we got 3% of you that think otherwise. I'll have to look for your comments. Speaking of which, with regards to the comments, I've been really taken aback yesterday for those of you that went down to the link in the description below, which you can do so now, where it says follow Kyle. You can follow me on my socials. And I obviously started the new vlogs channel over there. And if you click on that, I was really, really taken back by all of the subscribers, right? Look at that. The count just keeps going. It's absolutely unbelievable. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm going to be looking to add some value to your guys' life over there. This has been truly, truly phenomenal. And for every comment I have replied, and I'll go and reply to any of you that go there today and comment. It's truly wonderful. Thank you so much. Alrighty, let's get into some of the altcoin mix of things over here. Let's have a look. Let's quickly see how Solana's done, because we spoke about that overhead resistance, right, at 150. Here it is in the pink box around this 150 zone. That's where you need to be ultra cautious. If you are a Solana bull and you've been caught up in positions, just be careful that this trend doesn't reverse over here, because I would be looking for weakness into this zone. If anywhere within that zone, or maybe a push a little bit higher between 150 and 160, I would expect is the lower high. Great. If it comes down, we'll mark out some of the fib retracement support levels for high lows in the future. But remember, buying the exact lows are always the most dangerous, risky thing, because everybody would have thought, this liquidation is the low. They would have said, that's a low. Okay, cool. Price comes up, comes back down. Now that's a low because you're finding support over there. No, now that's a low. Now that's the low. That's the low. That's the low. So anyone that says they bought the low, they're probably still underwater. And the second low, which is the higher low, is going to be your more optimal entry point, right? Because now you have confirmation of a significant turning point or low in the market. Failure to get above that zone, if you reject over here and you come back down for these lows, inevitably you're going to be dropping down into the 100 zone, right? So be careful of that. SPX 6900, I see there's a request for that. We'll have a look at that. Let me first go to ASTER. And the reason I want to go to ASTER is because it's kind of pulling back over here. And it was one of the ones that I spoke about a couple of days ago, right? I said, I think this looks like it's going to break down. And I want to show you another chart that looks very similar to this. So you started to break that trend down over there. Higher highs, high lows, officially broken, lower highs and lower lows. And I think that ASTER is going to move back down into the yellow box. I don't want to say exactly which level, because this is quite a wide range and we have a lack of data over here, but it looks like it wants to move back down towards range lows, which is anywhere from about 87 cents and below that. Now, before we move on to SPX 6900, I also want to talk about Zcash. So I'm looking at Zcash over here. It's just spent a lot of time, similar to ASTER, grinding into this, trend line over here. And I think this trend line is going to break. So call that touch point 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're coming in for the 5th time. I think that Zcash, I think Zcash is going to probably distribute. And also part of the reason why I said that is when you just look at it on the daily time frame, you have to ask yourself, is this accumulation or distribution? And ever since it broke this, I'm going to highlight it because we have a lot going on over here. Ever since we broke this candle down over here, this was your previous, and I'll move it towards the left so you can see it clearly. This was your previous major high or low. You bounced off of there, you set in a lower high, and then you broke through, right? You bounced, you set in another lower high. So I lean towards Zcash is probably going to start to distribute over here. So it's one of the ones that probably have a short trade on the table. It will take a couple more days, but look at that. What was one of the previous strongest coins maybe being controlled by some higher powers, market makers, whatever you want to call them, because other coins are much stronger, right? BTC, ETH, and this is now starting to show weakness relative to the rest of the market. So potential trade on the table over there. I did take it with a small amount. Remember, the main trade that we made a lot of capital on over here, a lot of money. I think we over 3x that account with only entering about 10% of the position size into the trade. That's how well it did. I've taken that and I've taken a small percentage of that capital and entered into a short trade over here. I moved the stop loss above that wick over there. So it's set exactly like this, 557. So yeah, we'll take a chance over there. It's not going to be, house money. I'm not buying a house off of this trade, but maybe a few dinners, right? It's just a small little trade, couple of $100 or $1,000 if it plays out towards the downside. If it plays all the way down, I'll make a few $1,000s. That's the size that I'm talking about. So again, just showing you where's my money actually at. I'm not playing with extreme conviction in this market. It's still very risky. Very, very, very risky right now. Alrighty, let's have a look at the totals, which we haven't done for quite some time. Total still bouncing over here. Very likely to find a lot of resistance at 3.51 trillion. Total 2, same thing. We hit those support levels, but I guess now you can pretty much reverse that fib and look from top to bottom. And resistance are going to be 50% level in the golden pocket. And then same thing over here. Let's just quickly reverse that fib from high to low. There we go. Resistance levels coming in at just under 1 trillion over there. So we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the course of Thanksgiving in the low volume environment. I can't foresee that this chart over here is going to turn back up anytime before Monday. I just genuinely don't see it because I know that the markets will have low volume. They're going to have low volume over the course of the weekend. So yeah, isn't it Thanksgiving today? Is it Thanksgiving today? Let me know in the comments. Is today Thanksgiving? It might actually be today. Don't you guys do it on in the US, you do it on a Thursday evening, right? Something like that. And then tomorrow's Black Friday. Yeah, so I'm all incorrect, right? That would mean that the stock markets are probably closed today as well. So if the stock markets are closed today, crypto is trading like a weekend. Okay, you guys said yes. Thank you. Apologies, guys. Believe it or not, Thanksgiving is only really big in the US. Like, this is not a worldwide thing. Okay. So forgive me for my, incorrect speech over here. Alrighty. Yeah, so markets are closed today. Markets are going to be closed today. So crypto trades like a weekend. So yeah, let's see. I mean, I'll do a video for you guys tomorrow as well. A quick video. Anyway, I won't do a long one. I'll maybe do like a 10-minute one. So if you want to get a quick overview, because I'm assuming most of you are going to be, off, having the time of your life, recovering after your turkeys, right? Cool. So let's see. What else? What else have we got over here? Anything else? Oh, SPX. I can't forget that, right? That was the question over there. SPX 6900. Let's have a quick look at that. We know that this one got totally obliterated. Is there any major recovery? That looks wonderful on an hourly chart, but let's just zoom out and see what's going on that weekly. Wow, big move. It is a big move on the weekly. So what we're looking for initially is that sweep below. Theoretically, you got it. But look, I'm going to be honest. I would never have bought this. This is completely, I don't want to use the word manipulated, but I think it's somewhat controlled, right? There's no real massive structural shift. And if there is, you're going to have to still chop about here for a lot. So I think this bounce, if you're stuck in positions, probably a good opportunity to take some off of the table. Okay. Opportunity to get some off the table. Things like FARTCOIN, again, nice little move there as well. FARTCOIN could rally as much as 64 cents. These things can put in sizable bounces because they're very illiquid, very, very, very illiquid charts. How's useless doing? Okay, flipping key support into resistance. Again, illiquid, someone can come in with a big amount, $1 million, and they can move this whole chart quite easily. But ultimately, I think this is going to revert back down to like 0.0255. I think all of this is just gambling. You can, of course, there can be some level of skill on a low time frame. If you're playing the really, really low time frames, don't get me wrong, you can take a trade over there, but you can't swing trade these things. You're going to get rinsed. You can't enter big spot positions on this. You're going to get hurt. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay, guys, I'm just quickly running through all your comments over here. I just want to see I didn't miss anything too important. Alrighty. So, look, I don't want to spend too much time on the altcoins. We can reserve that for another day, maybe for tomorrow or something. If nothing really changes in Bitcoin, that would be a day to go through it. But like we've been through this before, the edge is not really there. It's very, very, very risky. And as much as I want to give you hopium, I can't lie to you. When it comes to these altcoins, they are obliterated. Let's see, 𝗦𝗡. Look at that. Can you believe this? One of these coins that were supposedly fundamentally strong, and these things have been in a bear market. I mean, what do you call that? 95% off the highs? Let's even be kind and not cherry pick the top, but say like somewhere within this mid-distributive phase, and the second peak, it's still 91% down, which is absolutely brutal. Really, really brutal over there. All right. Also want to mention for any of you that are looking for a home to trade on, remember, guys, on Bybit, they are one of the most legitimate, serious exchanges out there. They're giving you up to a $30,000 sign-up bonus, $50 sign-up bonus as well, immediately guaranteed when you join. So use the link in the description below if you do want to participate with that. And then your Black Friday, right? I want to just see if that counter on the top here to see how many spaces we have left. Because we were at like 90% capacity. So I can't imagine, and I forgot to check it yesterday, but this morning it was saying 143. Maybe it says it somewhere down here. There was 143 spaces left. It was something around that in the 120s, 140s. So if you do want to get in 50 or 48% off, 48% off, link in the description below. Black Friday, your final opportunity. You'll never see prices lower than that, right? You got 1 day and 21 hours left to go. There will be an additional extra added benefit and bonus that I haven't spoken about on YouTube for anyone that does get into Whale Room before Black Friday ends. You guys will receive something that will help you to trade. Okay, I don't want to say what it is, but you'll get it in the Discord, right? All the information is already in the Discord over there. So again, remember to support the channel. If you haven't already subscribe. The link is in the description below. Just go through to the bottom over here. I would love to have you guys there on the personal vlog channel. I'll show you a little bit about how I got to where I am, right? I think maybe if it worked for me, it can work for you. That's it, guys. I will see you all on the next one. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. We'll see you soon, and cheers for now.